Deputy Chief Secretary and Secretary of Finance and the Economy, Assemblyman Joel Jack.
Be it resolved that this House accept the policy measures recommended by the Executive Council to manage the financial resources of the Tobago House of Assembly for fiscal 2018 in order to continue the island's developmental thrust and to minimize any adverse impact on the people of Tobago. And be it further resolved that this House support the plans of the Executive Council to mitigate against the challenges in the national economy, and that all Tobagonians in this critical period be encouraged to maximize productivity, service excellence, and contribute to economic resilience as we seek to restore Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago to a path of sustained economic growth. Madam Presiding Officer, only recently, the Executive Council engaged in a rigorous exercise to revisit and reprioritize the developmental agenda of the Assembly for fiscal 2018 in keeping with our mandate to continue our developmental momentum. At these discussions, each division was required to identify their priority projects, and as a team, we deliberated to arrive at the Assembly's priority projects for fiscal 2018. Madam Presiding Officer, in arriving at the overall set of priority projects for the Assembly, we considered and gave high priority to ongoing projects and those for which there was prior approval and commitment, projects for which contractual obligations exist, and projects for which tenders have already been invited or received, projects for which pre-investment activities have been completed, and projects that are likely to have a positive impact on employment, economic diversification, the environment, and income distribution, and capital projects that are sustainable over the short term and are revenue generating. We have provision for the Unemployment Relief Program in the sum of $45 million, the Community-Based Environmental Protection Program, or CPEP, $20 million, the Studley Park restructuring, major improvements to secondary roads, the Milford Road bridges, the road resurfacing program, the program for the upgrade of road efficiency pure, the Windward Road Special Development Program, a coastal zone protection program, the Charlottesville Mini Mall, the Adventure Mini Mall, the Plymouth Andersville Road, the Orange Hill Road, the Lansome Charlottesville Road, the Roxborough Bloody Bay Road, the Cove Tier 3 Data Center, the Tobago Tourism Agency, tourism project sites and attractions, agricultural access roads, renovation of the old Scarborough Market, upgrade of the Belgarden Community Center, construction of new health centers, Corland Development Phase 2, the Scarborough Enhancement Program, and the Enterprise Assistance Program. Madam Presiding Officer, a detailed examination of the full range of these THA priority projects will indicate two striking features. One, the projects, their impact, they will impact a wide range of sectors and cover all divisions of the Assembly. And two, the projects are all geared to positively impact the standard of living and the quality of life of Tobagonians. We propose to treat with the funding gap for fiscal 2018 by doing the following. One, limiting recurrent expenditure to $1.69 billion, net of any extraordinary payment, and transfer the difference estimated at $170.2 million to finance THA priority capital expenditure. We'll deploy contingencies account resources estimated at $66.7 million to fund the 2018 budgetary shortfall and utilize borrowings in the sum of approximately $250 million to fund key development projects. Madam Presiding Officer, looking at the picture as a whole, we estimate that our mobilization efforts will result in a total of approximately $561 million. But Madam Presiding Officer, these are the primary adjustments we propose to make to our budget as we adjust our fiscal priorities to treat with our new economic circumstances. This is projected to result in a reduction in recurrent expenditure without any adverse impact on employment levels in the Tobago House of Assembly. Let me see that again. This will result in a reduction in recurrent expenditure without any adverse impact on employment across the Tobago House of Assembly. Madam Presiding Officer, this administration is mindful of the fact that the financial resources of the state are not infinite. And we are also mindful of our country's current economic difficulties, as well as the overwhelming quantum of requests that have been made on the national purse. As a responsible administration, we believe that our country's current fiscal position demands that we find new and creative ways to generate revenues and to find ways to reduce expenditure as we continue our policy mandate to increase our contribution to the national economy. Madam Presiding Officer, this administration aims to reduce discretionary expenditure by 1, the establishment of procurement units throughout the Assembly and the implementation of stringent procurement measures, improved efficiency across all departments of the Assembly by adopting more stringent performance-based management systems, placement of a greater emphasis on the implementation of cost reduction measures, reduction in minor equipment purchases in fiscal 2018, reduction of expenditure on overseas trips, reduction of expenditure in the cost of assemblies function, and a reduction of expenditure on festivals, inclusive of Carnival, Jazz, and the Heritage Festivals. As it relates to revenue generation, Madam Presiding Officer, the Assembly proposes to undertake several initiatives over the next fiscal year to enhance its revenue-generating capacity and to supplement our budgetary allocation from central government. 2 of these initiatives will include expanding the revenue-generating capacity at Liston Park Quarry and the introduction of fees at tourist sites and attractions across Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, just before I close, please permit me to highlight 2 of our alternative financing mechanisms to supplement our funding gap. These will include the utilization of public-private partnerships, or P3s, borrowing on the domestic market, and the use of grant funding and technical assistance from regional and international multilateral agencies.
The Secretary spoke to projects to be done on the island. He included projects to be done by central government agencies and ministries. And here is where I am having a serious challenge. Because it will seem that almost annually we get these promises of projects to be done in Tobago from ministries in Trinidad, and it's not happening now. It has been happening for a long while. And then year come, year go, and the same promises are just repeated, just regurgitated, and no one comes and says to anybody in Tobago, well, the reason why we haven't done it yet is because of X, Y, and Z, or to explain what conditions have changed. And so Tobagonians keep hearing these promises of all these projects that just keep not getting done. You know how long we're talking about the A&R Robinson International Airport? You know how long? In fact, we have been talking about it from before. because I will quote for the Secretary of Finance and Economy from the Hansard in the Parliament, from former Prime Minister Patrick Manning in 2004. And he's talking about work done from this committee that was meant to treat with tourism in Tobago. And he's saying one of the benefits, and I'm quoting, one of the benefits that is now coming out of the work of that committee is the decision to expand the Crown Point terminal building. This is 2004. We began to address the issue of airlift, marketing, and product development as we seek to address the critical and important area of tourism in Tobago. The committee's work would have resulted in the increase of passenger arrivals in Tobago over the past 2 years. This is still in 2004. And he's committing at the time a loan facility of 110 million. That was approved. And he's also committing to complete designs and to improve the Crown Point and to have the Crown Point Airport development. It wasn't even named A&R Robinson International Airport then. So the point is, we keep getting promises after promises. This is not the first time we have heard about new fire stations or about the Silton Hillsborough Dam. We have been talking about these projects over and over again, and we'll hear it next year and the year after, but no one comes and explains why the things that are promised are never done. And not only that, nobody on this side of the Atlantic, on this side of the pond, says anything to Trinidad when they don't get done. Nobody confronts Trinidad about these projects that they promise and don't do. And then they will have us believe that it is better when we have the same party in Tobago and the same party in Trinidad. Tobagoans are learning the hard way that that is far from better. Madam Presiding Officer, to the issue of revenue generation. And I'm happy that the Secretary spoke to this matter. He spoke about fees at tourist sites. That's fine. We agree with that. The Stolly Park quarry, we have made it clear that we don't support the new approach because the THL has never demonstrated its ability to manage a state company and to do so well. He talked about P3s, and I'm hoping to God that the P3s don't turn out to be Milsherv's 2.0 and so on. He spoke about grant funding, and he spoke about borrowing. Here's the thing that we need to get from those on the other side. Those on the other side need to be more honest in how much revenue we actually do generate. True. You see those state companies? Nobody in Tobago should have to come here to ask, force people to respond, because some of these state, meaning THA companies, have been in existence for a while. And their reports should be public, how much they earn, how much you intended for them to earn, and so on should have always been public. And we exist in a political situation where you just don't know. You just don't know. And I'm going to talk about Cassava Company till they're sick and tired of hearing Cassava Company. But people can't say how much money Cassava Company making. People don't even know where the capital of Paradise is. We don't know if the boat here, if it's in St. Vincent, we don't know if it's sink, we don't know if it's sell, we don't know if somebody thief it. We just don't know. And that cannot be how we manage THA companies that we intend to generate revenues from which we can draw them from. That cannot be the approach. We have to be more honest in our dealings with Tobagonians. And we formed this Tully Park company, but how are we so sure that it will be different from the other companies formed by the THA? How do we know that it will work this time when the previous ones don't seem to have worked or they are not working? What are we going to do differently this time around? Is there an operations manual that we have that we are going to force them to operate by? What is different this time? And these are the questions that Tobagonians are asking. But, Madam Presiding Officer, it would be remiss of me not to say here, before I close, that we too understand that to treat with our economic misfortunes, we need heavy doses of creativity, we need imagination, and we do need all hands on board.
Given their reduced budgets, the Assemblymen spoke of what their main projects are for the 2017 to 2018 fiscal period. These include development of the sports tourism niche market, establishment of the Tobago Indigenous and the Traditional Arts Academy, and the restoration of historical sites. Upgrade of community centers, training of employees for greater productivity, and the development of entrepreneurial skills for community members. Distribution of grants and subsidies, construction of houses via the public-private partnership model, and distribution of plots at housing developments. Development of a non-communicable diseases registry, expansion of the cancer treatment services, and establishment of a community residence for children. Upgrades to livestock services at Hope Farm, distribution of plant materials to farmers, and training programs for farmers and fisher folks. Refurbishment of hard courts, upgrades to recreational grounds, and a year-round youth assembly program. Synchronization of traffic lights, establishment of a collection and recycling program for plastics and glass, and a collaboration for the construction of a waste oil management plant.
How are you going to use that money now to deal with ED cut and all these fancy cassava project and, we call it big boat again? Capital of Paradise, that's somewhere in Grenada, catching sprats. How do you deal with that? That's what Tobago wants to hear about. How do you intend to reconcile what you asked for and what you got? You said you're going to speak about policy measures. But these plans or ideas must be laid bare before us as to I intend to, as how Joe Muppet spoke. He said we wanted to do about 30 fields, hard courts. But the money we have can't do that. So we'll just do 2 or 3. That is the kind of policy measures we want to hear, not old talk. They're big on old talk and big words. But we can reduce it to nothing. And even when the government gave them $162 million, the government told them how to spend the money. The government said 25 of that million, 25 million must be used for personal expenditure, paying people. So for the whole of this year, after 20, we wanted to hear what you got last year. How much you used to pay people last year, and if there's a difficulty now in meeting it, how we could mitigate that, how we could lessen the hardship on the people, how we could continue developing Tobago. We want to hear that, but no, rubbish coming from you all. For goods and services, the central government said I'm allocating you $41 million out of that $162 million. 41. We want to hear what goods and services you're going to buy, what you're going. These are the policy statements. What policy statement will guide you in buying goods and services?
Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute, we would have taken the policy decision in the first instance of shifting it from the Division of Tourism to the Division of Education, all designed to position the institution to play its rightful, to take its rightful place in ensuring that we provide the level of tertiary education to the people of Tobago. And may I say that in doing so, and in changing the board of directors, I can say to you that we now have a cadre of persons with the requisite skill, competence, and leadership required to transform that organization. As a matter of fact, as I speak to you, Madam Presiding Officer, 3 persons connected with that institution as well as the Boko Reef Trust, which incidentally will eventually be subsumed under an integrated university, are preparing to travel to Miami to engage professors in respect of a couple of universities abroad to see to what extent we can collaborate and create programs that can benefit the people of Tobago. That is policy, that is education, that is plan, that is development. When we decided that we would redesignate the Division of Community Development as Community Development, Enterprise Development, and Labor, that in itself was policy. It was also philosophical because it was strategic and it was designed to ensure that we used as part of our mantra going forward, the community as a basis for the development of our people and our island. And in respect of our empowerment of those communities, Madam Presiding Officer, I am happy to advise that early next year, we will begin to roll out a number of new and innovative programs designed to give our people in the community a range of options so that they can position themselves, if they so desire, to become entrepreneurs and to participate in furthering their own livelihood as well as deepening the productive capacity of themselves and the island. And in that regard, Madam Presiding Officer, I can say to you that having entered into discussions with the National Training Association or Agency, we have agreed that some of our current personnel at the Division of Infrastructure will be trained over a 9-month period to become tutors so that they can assist these persons in the various communities to develop certain kinds of vocational and technical skills. That is policy, that is action, that is plan. Madam Presiding Officer, we would have also indicated that there would be some emphasis placed on innovation and technology. And indeed, we would have indicated in our budget statement that TTIL would have engaged in a construction exercise designed to ensure that we brought on stream an innovation center. And Madam Presiding Officer, I am pleased to advise members of this House that TTIL, in respect of its plans for 2018, has decided inter alia that it will do the following. It would seek accreditation from the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago to offer courses in robotics, Java programming, web development, and graphics effective January 2019. Preparing our people, Madam Presiding Officer, to take their rightful place not only in respect of the country of Trinidad and Tobago, but in respect of the Caribbean and the world. They would be partnering with COMSHA to obtain quality assurance for COMSHA programs by March 2018. And Madam Presiding Officer, may I advise this House that the world's leading tech association is COMSHA. And it, among other things, encourages industry standards and sets industry standards, fosters skills development, generates technical knowledge and insight, and offers leading certification programs. All this is designed to ensure that those who attend those programs will get world-class certification and therefore will be able to command high-paying jobs in the IT sector.
I am excited about the revenue enhancement initiatives. And one member opposite spoke about the need for revenue enhancement measures. We have spoken about them. They're in the budget statement. I mentioned two of them earlier. And I'm excited about the prospects of the revenues at Studley Park. Poor it is no secret, so to try to downplay it is being, again, intellectually dishonest. The prospects are real. The business case analysis is sound. And I remember it was either 2011 or 2012 when the then Indian High Commissioner, Mr. Malay Mishra, came to Tobago with a report indicating all the minerals that are located up in the quarry. And Secretary Devines, probably we're selling the wrong thing. Probably we might be able to mine some mineral that they might be able to use in NASA or space technology or something. But we have a gold mine here in Tobago, and I think if we exploit the resources in a responsible and eco-friendly manner, I think Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago stands to gain from this.
Members, the question put is whereas the Tobago House of Assembly, in accordance with Section 41 of the THA Act 40 of 1996, debated, approved, and submitted its estimates of revenue and expenditure for fiscal 2018 to the Cabinet. And whereas the precipitous decline in energy prices and its concomitant impact on central government revenues resulted in an overall reduction in the national budget from 53.5 billion in 2017 to 50 billion in fiscal 2018. And whereas the implication of this reduction must be shared by all ministries, institutions, and citizens, including the Tobago House of Assembly. And whereas the allocation to the Tobago House of Assembly totaled 2.1936 billion, or 4.34% of the national budget. And whereas, in accordance with the Section 25(2) of the THA Act, the Executive Council is mandated to do all in its powers to manage the affairs of Tobago and to advance the island's socio-economic development. Be it resolved that this House accept the policy measures recommended by the Executive Council to manage the financial resources of the Tobago House of Assembly for fiscal 2018 in order to continue the island's developmental thrust and to minimize any adverse impact on the people of Tobago. And be it further resolved that this House support the plans of the Executive Council to mitigate against the challenges in the national economy, and that all Tobagonians in this critical period be encouraged to maximize productivity, service excellence, and contribute to the economic resilience as we seek to restore Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago to a path of sustained economic growth. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.